So you've seen how arrays work. So now let's allow the user control the chaos. So today we'll be learning how to create arrays using user input in Java. Now you will ask how many values they want, then you let them type each one. This is very useful and you will see as we go ahead. So let's go into our IDE. So this is our IDE and just comment everything out. Okay, so next up is we're going to create, okay, let's just give it a new file. And in this file, we're going to call it a user array. So this array is going to have the scanner class at the top. So you can also use the J option pane if you are interested, but I just want to keep it simple for now using our util. So initially I mentioned that Java doesn't have an inbuilt UI. Yeah, it does. If you use some other classes like the J option pane or some other ones, you'd actually see a UI. So I actually forgot about those things before. So now we're going in with declaring our scanner object. Next up, we want to say enter the number of let's just say how many numbers. Okay, so note we're using this to ask the user how many numbers. We're using this to ask the user to type in some numbers into our program. Okay, now we're going to initialize those numbers by using size, the variable name called size. And notice when you are using int, your input, your array input should be dot next int. Okay, so if I should call this something like which is not good because that is not a useful name. Okay, so it's called input because that is what it does. It brings in the input from a user. Now that is why the same input is here. So we are calling the next int, which is the next input we're going to take. So then what we're going to do now is to take this user's size into an integer, into an array, sorry. So how do we do this? Let's clean this off so we don't make you confused. So we say int, you already know this part, the integer plus the array sign, then let's call it a name numbers, okay? So equal to what we want to say now. Notice we say new, okay, new int, and we put what we want to put inside, which is this size, okay, and close. So notice initially we usually say to get an array, you just say int this and say equal to this this, okay? But that is when you are loading the array manually. So when you are getting an array from an another what do you call this now, another declaration or another value object, you have to call it by making this already stores the value here. Okay, it already stores the value in range. So now you have to just call it inside this by calling a new array from this size method. Okay, don't worry, with time this will make sense to you. Now we will loop through this array using our normal for int I equals to 0, I is less than size, okay, then I is I plus plus. Okay, now you would say, why do we not say size dot length? We do not say size dot length because size is not an array. Okay, the array here is this numbers. So when the I is less than the size, then we want to do this. We want to say system dot out dot print, enter the number I, then let's make a little adjustment here. Sorry, don't worry, I will explain everything I'm doing. I plus 1. Okay, okay. The next step is to say numbers I equals input dot next input. So what does this do? We'll find out soon. Then the next step is to say system, blah blah blah. You've entered uh or say you entered, okay, you entered, um then look through saying for int num, then numbers, then we're going to do something, then we're going to say system.out num. Okay, then always remember to say input dot close, since we're using this input class here, so we'll have to close it. Okay, all right, so what did you just do, or what did you just, yeah, what did you just do? So what you just did is you took the user input right here, then you feed array one by one using a loop. Okay, so this is where it becomes confusing to you. So sometimes it is usually confusing, but you just have to break it step by step. So first of all, you are saying we're creating this array called numbers. Now this array is going, since we do not have the array existing now till when the user inputs the data, we can't just leave it as blank. So we have to say when the data comes, it becomes new and it's bringing in integers, and we're going to take these words into the array. So now becomes int of size, okay, in the array is now attached to, is now declared as an into is that the value of this variable called numbers, okay. So now for int I, blah blah blah, you already know this. So this is just a condition for loop, for a for loop. Now we're saying print to the console. We want the user to enter a number to fill this our input. Okay. So how many numbers? So first of all, we ask the question, how many numbers? If the person says 10, then okay, you say 10. So if the person says the number I want to enter is 10, then we look if for int I equals to 0, I is less than 10. Since the user say, okay, I'm inputting 10. Now you start asking the user, okay, so you said you're inputting 10, so we are at 1. So I plus 1. So we're using, since I is equal to 0, so starting from 0, so 1. So your first number is enter number 1, then you put it here. Then the next time enter number 2 till we get up to 10 or up to 9, then it stops. Then what do we do? These numbers we have taken becomes our numbers here. And the I here is the numbers we are taking, then we're inputting it into the numbers array. The same thing we did here, the size, okay? Oh, sorry. Then we're doing the same thing. The I becomes part of our numbers array, okay? Then we call the next int. So if they put in the first number, they put in 10, for instance, it becomes part of our numbers array. If they put in 12, it becomes part of our numbers array. See, we get to the initial 10 numbers the user said he wanted to put here initially. Okay, so now I will run this code so you see. So now let's run this code. I just wanted to explain it so you understand. Okay, now let's explain this part first. So YOU. So you could see this part here. This part is about you entered and you start seeing all the numbers the person entered. So we already talked about this, a for each loop. Num here is just a integer of a new integer. Numbers here is just this number array, and whatever the value is stored here becomes this. Okay. So how many numbers do I want to enter? I say 5. So enter number 1. So number 1 is 1. Number 2 is 2. Number 3 is 3. Number 4 is 4. And number 5 is 5. So this is just so you don't get confused. That is why I'm writing it. Number 1 is 1. Number 2 is 2. Yeah. So you get to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 printed to the console. I don't know if you're getting the point. Now let's play this again. So if I say I want how many numbers do you want? If I said I want 10, now notice 1 becomes 1, 2, sorry, 2 becomes 2, 3 becomes 3, 4 becomes 4, 5 becomes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you could see in my console we have 10 numbers. So this is basically simple. You just need to understand how it works. Okay, so now here is a slide of how of what you just did. So you took a user input to set array size. Next, you filled array one by one using a loop. The next, you printed values for a with a for each loop. So that was all you did. And this is how real apps collect data. Super practical skill, isn't it? So it's really, really helpful. Since you already know how to do this, and if you take more and more practice, you become perfect. Okay? So now here is a mini challenge for you. Now you're going to make a version that stores names instead of numbers. So the version we made now takes in numbers. So all you have to do is very simple. It's not difficult. Just say the array, how many names are you typing in? Okay, it takes, instead of how many numbers, it takes in 10 names. Now, instead of using an integer, you want to use, since int cannot store strings, you want to use a string data type. Okay, use a string data type and say input.next string. Okay, the next you have the array should become a string array, not an int array. So a string array of names. Also, for each loop, okay, then after doing the for each loop, you can loop. Yeah, so that is basically the same thing. Okay, so all you have to do is change the data, the variable names. Okay, so pause the video now and do that. Okay, sorry, hold on. Then you try sorting the numbers with arrays.sort. So we'll cover that later too. Really? Let's see. Pause the video. Okay, so if you were able to do that, props to you. If you weren't able to do that, it's fine. It's totally okay. Okay, so I'm not really going to leave. Okay, let's see. So I didn't want to make this for the solution, but I think I'll just do it. And so what you need to do, in case you weren't able to do this on your own, just follow along. If you were still able to do this on your own, still follow along, or you can skip this part. So first I want to say, um let's say the names, how many names. Then you could say, okay, you're taking 10. So you could still leave it as this normal user array. So how many names are you taking is 10. Then next up we say, okay, the names are already there. Okay, the names are already there. So now I told you to change in this to string. And next up is to, okay, no, this should still be in integer, because the number of names the person is bringing in is an integer. Sorry, so I actually said this wrong before. The number of names, say I'm bringing in 10 names, it's an integer. It's an integer, so it remains an integer. The next up is okay, so we've saved. Okay, this now becomes the names, so we're making this string. So we're making that a string, and that becomes string names, and here also becomes a string, because here cannot be a string and this becomes something else. So we've made that place string. Now what do we need again? Enter names, nothing else. Then okay, now input dot, not next int, now it will now be um input dot next line. Sorry, not next string but next line. Input dot next line. All right, so that is the only correction. Okay, now this becomes we remove this and we'll call this since we're no longer having the integer in numbers, we're calling this a string. Oops. Okay, so this is just how you fix the code basically. And are we still giving this numbers? No, we should give this names, should give this names, we should give this name. Sorry, so always make sure your naming is the same everywhere. So that should be a name, then here should be name. Okay, let's just give it an S. Okay, let's give it an S. Okay, so yeah, now here becomes name, and we change it to name. So fine. So this variable name should not be the same as this. Okay, that was why I added S here. So now let's go. This is the total solution. So how many names? I want to put in 5 names. Now, what names am I putting in? I'm putting in let's say I'm putting in Alice. Oops, sorry, I mistakenly typed in. Something is wrong. Let's see. The first name is automatically filled. I don't know why. So I'm putting in 5 names. Okay. Name 1 is automatically filled. Don't know where the bug is coming from. So this is name, string, size, string. This is size. Okay. Enter names I plus 1. Okay. There's a bug somewhere. I'm trying to detect why the first name is initially filled. So just follow along. You also learn how to debug on your own. So enter names and let's say enter name. Okay, doesn't really matter. That's not a problem. I plus 1 plus. Okay. Now names I input to the next line. Okay, I don't know why that's called twice. Now system.out.println, you entered names. Okay, I can't see anywhere. Um, I can't spot a bug anywhere. So okay, I spotted the bug. Okay, no, that's not the bug. So that's still an integer, and I can't see any bug anywhere. So this is really weird. I can't see no bug. Size input dot next line, consume the new line character. So I think since we're having this problem here, we're going to put another input because I mentioned something initially that the input dot next line function sometimes causes a bug. Okay, so we're going to consume that bug right here. Consume the new line character. We're going to stop the bug by adding this line of code because you can see my code is okay, but there's a bug here that automatically prefills the first name. So let's see if this would stop this bug. And let's play again. Sorry, pause this. Let's play again. Okay, so we're taking in, sorry, 10 names is too much. 5 names. How many names do you want? 5. Okay, now you see the bug is fixed. So just by adding this single line of code here, input the next line. So it's like the first one is being called multiple times or twice. That was why I was having that issue. So just learn how to debug your code in case you're having a problem. Using the scanner class, always just look for a place to put the inputs the next line to consume the new line character. So we're going to call this first one Alice. Then what do we call the second one? We're going to call the second one Bob. Then we're going to call the other one Charlie. We're going to call the next one David. And we're going to call the next one, let's say something like Kate. Okay. So we have the name here, Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, Kate. So because we're not doing any formatting of any kind, you see the names are just written there. But we could do something like split or sort, like I said before. So for the sorting algorithm, we could say, so this is actually an algorithm. This is how you write your algorithm for collecting the names and printing to the console. So for saying sorting, since we have A, B, C, D, okay, I actually did them in alphabetical orders. But if they weren't in alphabetical orders, how do we sort them? Now we could say we should use the arrays.sort just above the statement that prints the numbers. We could say array dot sort is just actually a simple key word, and we just put in numbers, sorry, names. Okay, now we have to import something. You see it's actually red, and I don't have to type it out. All I have to do is put my mouse here and click on this, and okay, sorry, so it's taking me to this array.sort method, and I don't want to create it by myself. So let me just import it from, where is this? Let's just import it from Java. So it wants me to create a sorting array for myself, but that would actually take time. So let's go with arrays. So java.util.arrays. Okay. Now we have this error has gone or has disappeared. So we're not going to say sorted names, sorted names entered. So that and now I think that's all. Now let's stop this program and rerun. So now we're going to type it from D to A. So let's go with I think Kate. Oh, sorry. So my code broke because I typed in a letter and it was expecting an integer. How many numbers is supposed to be an int? Okay. And next int, yeah. Throw error for next int. So that is how to debug your code also. So how many names we're supposed to type in? 10. Or so whoops, I can't give 10 names. Sorry. Can't give 10 names. And I don't even know so many names in my head. So okay. Now 5. Okay. Now we're starting with Kate. Next we're going to okay, we're going to David. We're going to David. So we're starting from the back. Let's see if it's actually sorted. Then we're going to okay, let's go with Bob. Now let's go with Alice. Now let's go with Charlie. So you can see we're writing these things the way we like, and now you see it's sorted. Alice, Bob, Charlie, David, and Kate. So no matter how we wrote it, Kate, David, Bob, just anyhow, but it came out in a sorted format. So you can actually apply this to the numbers also, and it comes out in a sorted format. And so you've leveled up. Now your arrays are built on the fly. So drop an emoji if this worked, or if yours worked, or if someone you know their code works. Just drop an emoji in the comment section, the flame emoji, the fire emoji, whatever you call it. Just drop it in the comment section and stick around for the next video where we'll find the max, the maximum, and the minimum in an array. Now, if you're vibing with the chill coding gang, please leave a subscription behind. Do not just watch and go away, but please sub to the channel. And a sub to the channel would be subscriptions, or let's say subscriptiously fantabulous. Okay, so please leave a sub to the channel and just help us reach the 1,000 subscribers goal, and we'll keep stepping gradually. Just the 1,000 subscribers is would be a big milestone,